Hey, this is Brian Wright. This is the Daily B. I'm sorry the audio quality is not the best today. I've got a crappy mic that came with my headphones. I am hopping on because I haven't been on for a few days, and I've had a lot of things happening. So I just want to talk about a topic that I found rather interesting. A friend of mine were talking, and he was telling me how his daughter told him that she wants to be famous, and that all came about because it was one of those like, "Hey, what do you want to do when you grow up?" conversations, and she said, "I want to be famous." And he was like horrified. He was like, my daughter wants to be, Kim Kardashian, basically. And then we were talking. I was like, yo, man, what did you want to be when you were a kid? And he said that he wanted to be a soccer player. And I said, so basically, you want to be famous. He's like, no, I want to be a soccer player. I was like, yeah, but you didn't want to be a soccer player because you wanted to score goals and you wanted to be Pele. If you don't know who Pele is, go and Google Pele. He's one of the greatest soccer players out of Brazil. When I was a child, he was considered to be like, the god of soccer. So I say to him, I'm like, you didn't want to play soccer because you wanted to, be great at soccer. You wanted to be great at soccer so you could get all the trappings of what it was to be a famous athlete. You didn't want to work a 9 to 5. You wanted to kick a ball and be an athlete and drive a nice car and live in a nice house. So basically, you wanted to be famous. And he was like, well, I never looked at it that way. And I'm like, for him, he went from having the ideas of I want to be a soccer player, and then eventually he evolved into an entrepreneur. He owns his own business, he invests in other businesses, and he does very well for himself and he provides for his family. So for him, I was like, with your daughter, embrace that she said she wants to be famous. It's the same motivation that he had. So she's showing the same traits, just updated to 2016. When he was a kid in the 80s, being famous to him was an athlete. He's also a boy, which tends to move towards the athletics. But a boy in the 80s wanted to be an athlete. A girl in 2016 wants to be famous because you've got, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, you've got the E network basically following, stupid people around and making them tons of money by making them celebrities for just existing. And so, the idea of fame has changed, but the motivation has always been the same. A lot of times we look at, as we get older, we start to look at what's happening now like it's something different when the reality is it's always the same. The motivation's always the same. The aspirations are always the same. It's just different mediums because of the time. It is easier to be famous on the internet today than it is to be famous, on the soccer field. But in the 80s, we didn't have the internet, so we had athletics. It's just different. People want the same things but in different ways, and we have to embrace that. Now, what does that mean? This is not a conversation from parent to parent here. It may be, but as a business person, I look at this as an opportunity to talk about the reality of our consumers' mindsets never change. It's always the same. A certain age category is aspiring to be a certain thing, and it's just the mediums that they use are the things that will fluctuate. And if we hold on to the mediums of our day and ignore the mediums of today, we're missing the opportunity to communicate more effectively with the people of today. So it's this. I've talked about it before. In 2016, you can't market like it's 2000. I saw a meme on Facebook and it was funny. It was, do you feel like 1990 was, 5 years ago? And for some people, it could be 1955, it could be 65, 75, 85, 95, 2005 at this point could feel like 5 years ago, and it would be more than 5 years ago. So we all hold on to what we would consider our prime years, which really are not our prime years. It's just our youth years where we had a little bit greater sense of freedom, I would assume. But you know, those are the times that influence our ability to make decisions today if we hold on to the ideas of our youth too firmly. We have to hold on to the inspirations of our youth and the motivations of our youth and the understanding of what it is to be young, and we have to apply that to the technology and the opportunities that we have in 2016 and we'll have even more of in 2017. There's going to be someone that's going to come along and it's going to look at us in 2016 and they're going to look at us like, our cell phones are the stone age. Um, it'll be some weird virtual reality trip that they're on then. And, you think you don't understand kids right now? Wait for 10 years. You're going to have no clue what's going on. So, forget about your MySpace and your Friendsters and your websites that are gone and focus on your Snapchats and really get your Instagram game down and up your game and stop talking about the glory years and realize that the mindsets are always the same. It's just the mediums that are changing. So don't allow yourself to be like, the old curmudgeon stuck in the mud here, not able to advance, not able to engage your customer because you're just not able to evolve. Evolve with the times and don't put people down for having the same aspirations in a different medium. And that was my biggest takeaway from the conversation I had with my buddy was that it was like, don't fault your daughter. Don't be scared for your daughter. Embrace the motivation that you recognize and help her understand what that really means as she, evolves into an adult situation. So, you know, the aspiration to be famous that can lead to being a leader, an inspirer, an entrepreneur, a successful something. Don't crush that because you just don't understand the fact that famous is the same thing as athlete for you or movie star or whatever. The aspiring's always the same, guys. Who the hell wants to work a 9 to 5? I don't know any 7-year-old that says I want a 9 to 5 job and I want to make 80 grand a year. They all want to be in the bright lights and on stage or in the arena with the whole world watching them. So we all want that. I wanted to be the quarterback of Notre Dame. I never played a day of football in my life, but I ended up being a leader because that was the position I wanted to be. I didn't want to be, middle linebacker. I wanted to be the guy that everyone depended upon, and I've kind of put myself in a position to do that for almost my entire life. So I can get into that at a greater detail later. But again, embrace the medium of today. Don't crush someone's aspirations because it may just have a different trapping than what you're used to. All right? Have a good one.